Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're doing okay in your part of the world today. So one of you, a good buddy of mine, has asked me to react to 5 Points Vid's video, um, NASCAR tracks before and after. Um, so let's get to it, Sean Scribers.
Have you ever been to a NASCAR race?
No.
What you see on TV truly doesn't do them justice. A track is a magical place. The fans, the atmosphere, the speed, it's something you have to experience in real life to fully appreciate. But what happens to a raceway after they are no longer used? Some of them are born anew, rising like a phoenix. If a phoenix was a hardware store, others die a slow and agonizing death. Well, today, with the help of fellow YouTuber Slapshoes, we're gonna find out. What happened to these former NASCAR tracks is coming up right after this. This video is brought... Perfect package.
Ball deodorant. Yeah, they call that soap. Like, I can't believe I didn't wash my balls. I'll just put some deodorant on it.
I was looking for former NASCAR tracks that have either been abandoned or destroyed and repurposed. There are, of course, some former tracks that are still standing, but they don't make the cut. Sorry, Portland International Speedway.
You lose! Good day, sir!
Once a dirt twin oval, in 1986 Nazareth was purchased by Roger Penske and repaved a year later as a 1-mile tri-oval. The track hosted both kart and Busch Series races for nearly 20 years, but problems with its remote location and lack of interest caused the track's closing in 2004, and the site has sat abandoned since. The grandstands were removed and sent to Watkins Glen and Michigan International Speedway. The site will never be a racetrack again as it has a non-compete with nearby Pocono Raceway. It sits abandoned like Cleveland Browns fans' hopes and dreams. Once a horse racing track, Okunichi was where Louise Smith became NASCAR's first female driver in 1949. The track was a dirt oval configuration and hosted legends such as Fireball Roberts, Richard Petty, and Junior Johnson, as it was one of NASCAR's early tracks. Eventually, the locals didn't like the bootleggers tooling around on noisy Sundays, and the track was closed in 1968 with Richard Petty winning the last race here. A faint outline of the former historic track sits in the North Carolina woods today,
Holy crap.
with local societies doing occasional preservation events. A late 60s, early 70s paved oval, appropriately named Middle Georgia Raceway, had a brief 5-year stint as a NASCAR track. The discovery of a moonshine distillery by federal agents in a bunker underneath Turn 3 may have precipitated this track's early downfall. Wait, this really happened? I guess the distillery was necessary because an economic crash happened and the track was closed in 1971. Its last known use was in 2011 for a Dodge commercial where it became a fictionalized track called Brixton Motor Speedway. And it is being held as a commercial development site, with a meteor likely hitting our planet before that happens. But it is 2020. Another track that was once for horse racing, this was one of the sport's earliest venues, as races here predated World War II. It has sat in an abandoned condition on and off since the last race here in 1966. Don't let the close date of 2005 fool you. It was regraded in 2002 and held one last race before the idea of converting it to a museum was proposed and scrapped. Slapshoes told me Duke Energy used to dump scraps from their tree removal service on the property. What the? It now sits alone and sad like a fat kid that has run out of cupcakes. The most recent, most storied, most beloved, and most likely to be reborn tracks, North Wilkesboro has become a cult favorite for those who love an underdog story. A history spanning 60 plus years of active racing. There are literally too many moments that happen here to even begin to encapsulate this racetrack. Built in the moonshine capital of the world in 1947 as a dirt track, North Wilkesboro evolved into a staple of NASCAR, hosting 2 races a year with countless epic races and drivers. After multiple owner changes and financial trouble, the track held its last NASCAR race here in 1996 and its last race period in 2011. Since then, it has been sort of left to the wolves. There have been many attempts to preserve the track both physically and digitally, as it was virtually raced by current pros during the iRacing era of the pandemic. However, it still sits eerily abandoned as if a race just happened here, a bygone relic of the past, lost in time. Damn, that was deep, yo. For this next one, I'm going to turn it over to Slapshoes. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel.
Hosting just one cup race during its short lifespan, Airbase Speedway in Greenville, South Carolina was almost completely lost to time. Had it not been for Jonathan Nelson and Tom Schmay of Speedsport magazine finding a few errors in NASCAR's record-keeping back in 2014, Airbase Speedway's August 1951 event might have been erroneously listed as having been hosted by Greenville Pickens Speedway even to this day. The track was located just south of Donaldson Air Force Base, hence the name, and it was built and operated by a local huckster named Charlie Hicks, who, as best as I can figure out, had never operated a racetrack before or even worked at one. The half-mile dirt oval was notorious for bad track conditions that caused slow lap times and angry drivers, but it did manage to weasel its way into the 3rd season ever of NASCAR Cup Series competition. Bob Flock got one of his 4 victories that day, and shortly thereafter, Mr. Hicks found himself in legal trouble and had his assets seized. The track was left to rot, and the area around it was converted over for industrial use. However, if you know where to look, a section of the backstretch still remains tucked away in the woods. The chemicals Charlie Hicks used on the dirt surface to keep dust down still keeps most of the vegetation away today. And this part of the track, along with just a handful of surviving photos, are the only physical proof that Airbase Speedway ever even existed at all. And now, back to the big man himself.
Once a sprawling complex that featured both an oval and a road course, the track AIR was opened in 1960, but was only active for 10 years, its life ending in 1970. Since then, evidence of the track has been largely destroyed, as the site is now a neighborhood, a park, and an elementary school. A memorial honors the track behind the school. Unlike my bedroom in college, this is where all the magic happened, kickstarting the era of NASCAR and making its way into iconic photographs of the sport's history. Half of the track was the literal beach sand of eastern Florida, and the other half was, wait for it, A1A Beachfront Avenue. Girls are hot wearing leggings. Sorry. The Daytona Road Course was closed in 1958 when the world-famous Daytona International Raceway was completed. Now the spot is expensive beachfront real estate. A NASCAR track on Long Island, credited as being the first location where a demolition derby ever happened. The last race here in 1971 was won by Richard Petty. Despite adding a figure 8 in 1962, NASCAR stopped usage of the track when they no longer wanted races shorter than 250 miles. So it was quickly demolished and turned into residential use. There seems to be no evidence of the previous site, and now it looks like a warehouse/distribution center. Another site that holds a lot of history as famous drivers battled here. Throughout its 18-year existence, Asheville-Weaverville Speedway delivered biannual excitement for race fans. NASCAR stopped coming to the track after 1970 when an anti-noise ordinance by the literally woke citizens of Asheville kicked off a 17-year battle, which eventually caused the track to close permanently in 1987. The site is now North Buncombe High School. Good old progress. The place of the last few NASCAR Grand National races to be on dirt. Columbia Speedway was paved over in 1971, its last year of operation. Sitting abandoned for years, in 2009, efforts to clean up the site were enacted and volunteers began restoring many of the original features to at least serviceable levels. It has been essentially preserved and is used for festivals and probably a nice open area to get shit-faced drunk at. An exact copy of Michigan International Speedway, TWS is a shining example of NASCAR's stubbornness when it comes to shoehorning tracks into questionable areas. Though it was not officially closed until 2017, Texas World Speedway was opened in 1969 and its last major race was there in 1981. It was used as a club and test track up until 2017 when it was shuttered for good. Then it served as a storage facility for damaged cars from Hurricane Harvey. Sitting abandoned, it began to rot until it was sold and is now going to be the site of a bougie planned community, with much of it currently being demolished or removed. You think Bristol or Martinsville is a short track? LMS was the midget of NASCAR tracks, as it wasn't even a full half mile in length. Is that right? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Racing here was probably really tight and aggravating, and the track served both the Truck and Busch series for nearly 13 years. It was closed and demolished after its antithesis, Kentucky Speedway, opened. It is now an industrial park. Formerly named Sportsman's Park, Chicago Motor Speedway hosted the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and across the street, another track hosted horse races. That would really suck if you got confused and showed up at the wrong track on race day. Anyways, like Louisville, CMS was closed and demolished after the sweeping trend of D-shaped ovals like Chicagoland infected the world. Part of the track is now a Wirtz Beverage Group distribution center, and the other part is a Walmart. What happens when you build a utopian racing facility designed for NASCAR, Indy, NHRA, and Formula One? It fails, of course. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that this track is in California too, with the Canadian-sounding name. Ontario Motor Speedway was and is the only track in history that could accommodate all the previously mentioned series. Dubbed the Indianapolis of the West, the track was opened in 1970. Though initially successful, after only 3 years did Ontario suffer problems, as the track was sold to a new operator and debt began to accumulate. Crowds dwindled as the California 500 failed to replicate any of its past success, and after only 10 years of operation, Ontario was shut down for good. Today, the site has been redeveloped as a commercial space and is a giant shopping mall. Capitalism once again wins. This is actually a really interesting track. Initially a 5/8 mile, 4-corner dirt oval, oxymoron alert, at one point it was used for horse, motorcycle, and auto racing. Nicknamed the Square, it was paved in the early 90s, and the higher speeds led to some pretty bad crashes. It hosted the Craftsman Truck Series, but ultimately lost money year after being paved, and the track was closed in 2002, sold to developers, and demolished. It is now a shopping center, and a Lowe's store covers the footprint of the old squared oval. How fitting. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and someday we could all go to a NASCAR race, but please check out our sponsor, Manscaped, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Slap Shoes, and maybe even me if you feel like it. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.
I really don't follow NASCAR as much, but I'll still react to a video that if I'll still react to a NASCAR related video for you guys. If you've ever been to a NASCAR race, comment below where it was if you don't mind by sharing, and tell me what you thought of the stadium itself. And also, if you have a favorite driver, comment below who it was or who it is if you don't mind by sharing. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for loving and supporting this channel, and I encourage you to do so even more. I'm going to close this off here, but do please subscribe at the bottom for more content. Don't forget to like and share this video. Also, hit that bell below to keep up to date with my video releases and posts. Also, comment below in a video you think I should react to next. And as always, guys, take care and God bless everybody.